Hello, everybody, and welcome to PNSQ Chronicles, the best podcast, vidcast, related to the Pacific Northwest Software Quality Conference. In fact, as far as I'm aware, it's the only one related to the Pacific Northwest Software Quality Conference. I am your host, Michael Larsen. Sri Lubala is out for the remainder of this week doing something quite fun. I'm sure she'll tell us all about it when she gets back. But for now, you get me and you get our illustrious guest. And in this case today, we are speaking with Llewelyn Falco, who is a technical coach out of Los Alamos, New Mexico. And when I saw that initially, I thought, oh, hey, he must be part of that really cool industry. But apparently, he's actually not. So, Llewelyn, did I do a decent job there? Tell us a little bit more
Absolutely,
about yourself.
yeah. Not part. I'm like the person in Los Alamos who isn't part of the labs. I just really like living on a cliff. Um, so I'm a technical coach. I came up through programming and test-driven development, refactoring, and then pair programming and mob programming. Woody and I sort of are the people who sort of started that whole thing. And that allowed me to continue coaching and programming, because when I sit with the teams, we're programming together. It's a really nice way to work together.
Well, that sounds great. And thank you so much for joining us. Now, for those who are curious, Llewelyn is one of our invited speakers, and that means he is going to be presenting from the ballroom. But more to the point, that means that he is going to be presenting to where those who are in presence, those who are attending the virtual tracks, and those who are attending the free track will be able to see what he is presenting. So he's going to have the maximum ability for the most number of people to see what he's talking about. And his talk is TDD, test-driven development, with ChatGPT. And in this talk, he says he's going to give a live coding demo where he writes the tests and ChatGPT writes the code. Now, does that seem like a fair representation?
It is. This is a 45-minute keynote, so it might cut the live part down. I will tell you, like, I've been doing live coding my whole life, and this talk terrifies me. Every time I try it out, it always goes in a different direction, and it has always worked so far, but it is very much, you never know what will happen, like, tomorrow. Kent Beck had a tweet about a year ago where he's like, I finally started playing with generative AI, and 90% of my skills just went to zero. And that other 10% got multiplied by 1,000. And I feel like my programming skills are just diminishing in value, right? Like they're just becoming less valuable because chat can do a lot of it. But my testing skills have shot up. Because if you can sort of ask for something, the only question next is like, did I actually get what I really wanted? How do you do that without testing? There's no real way. And so I have been trying to figure out, what does this new world look like? You know, this talk is really sort of sharing what I've learned so far.
Now, I noticed this, and again, I want to make an emphasis here. In the abstract, so Llewelyn is saying that he's going to do a live coding demo where he writes the tests, and I think we want to make an emphasis that he is writing the tests. We're not asking ChatGPT to write the tests.
Right.
What we are doing is we're saying we're going to write the tests, and we're going to let ChatGPT write the code. Now, I've got some experience with doing exactly that. I've done some trainings and I've done some teaching where I've said, hey, let's take a look at what comes up with this. And often what happens with what I do is I will give some ideas of what I want to do and I'll spell it out as accurately as I think that I can. And it will definitely spit out code to me and say, oh, here, use this and you can drop it in and work with what you want to do. Naturally, I'll copy it. I'll drop it into my IDE and see what I get. Every once in a while, it's like, okay, look, that's pretty clean. Let's see. And it will run the first time. That's very rare, though. Most of the time when I have ChatGPT generate code, what it's going to do is it's going to drop into the IDE, and then it's going to generate a whole bunch of error messages. And I'm going to have to look at the error messages and say, oh, okay, wait, is it, oh, it's probably referencing a library that's out of date, or, oh, it's looking at something that it doesn't. Or in some cases, it genuinely doesn't know about the tool that I'm using or something specific. And so I will then have to go back and say, hey, I got this error message. And then ChatGPT will go, oh, I understand why that is. I'm calling on something that's out of date. Here, let me give you another alternative. And then you might go this round, and ultimately you whittle down the error messages until you get something clean. But the benefit to that is you're actively looking at what is wrong with the code. Why is it not working? And you're starting to discover what are the limitations ChatGPT has, and how can I either counteract them, or how can I ask it better questions so that it doesn't fall into that trap the next time that I ask? Makes sense?
Right. To me, that asking better questions is, I mean, it's really nice that you have tests and they tell you right away, like, hey, what I asked for, did it work? But my grandmother is Italian, right? Like, she was born in Naples, and we went back to Naples when I was growing up. And we had friends there who lived in Naples, and they knew Naples quite well, and they actually took us around. They were taking us to go see these ruins, and we stopped and we parked at this space. It was just, like a parking space. And when we parked, they're like, okay, now you're going to go to that vendor and you're going to buy something. And we're like, we don't really want anything from there. He kind of just looked at us and he's like, no, you're going to go and buy something, because otherwise when we come back, our tires will be slashed. Right? So there was like rules.
Oh, yes.
Right? There were rules of Naples. They weren't explicitly stated, but they were there. And it was really nice to have someone who understood what those rules were. And I feel like chat is the same way, right? Where it's like, if you ask chat for things, you'll get answers. Like, chat is never not going to give you an answer. But there are rules. And discovering like what those rules are is a lot of where like the secret of this works. And there's like, just like a simple example is, if I ask chat to multiply two numbers together, like, it will always give me an answer. Ironically, you can bribe it. It's very similar to Naples. You can be like, I'll give you $1,000 if you get this answer right. And it will give you a better answer, but that's not still the same as the right answer. So realizing like, oh, the way I handle this problem isn't by hitting it directly, but just sort of taking this slightly side path. What are these rules, and how do I get better answers? And tests definitely help to give better answers, but there's a couple other options you can do. Chat has access to a Python REBEL. You can actually ask it to run the code and see it pass. And if it doesn't, like, iterate on its own, which is very interesting to see it do. You can constrain your problems better so it's more bite-sized. And that actually tends to be a really big thing for me. It's really good at doing one level of indirection, 2 levels. At 3, we start to get really shaky. And so learning how to like break it down, and all of this is sort of like these hidden rules of how do I work within this space so I get the right result. Trying to figure those out is a lot of where I've been focusing, because I've never seen the world change so fast. And part of it is really thrilling, and part of it is really terrifying. But I know that what I was doing in 2020 is not what I'm going to be doing in 2025.
Absolutely fair. This is going to be super interesting, and I'm looking forward to participating in this talk. I want to check this out. I want to see how this works. And for those out there who want to know a little bit more about Llewelyn, how can they get in touch with you?
So Llewelyn Falco, very internet unique name, super fortunate. If you Google me, you'll find stuff on YouTube. You'll find LinkedIn, socials. You can just reach out and email me. I'm very happy to talk to people.
This is great. Again, to everybody who is curious, I'm hoping that this has whet your appetite a bit and you want to check this out. And there are lots of ways to do so. We would love to see you in Portland in person, of course. If it's not possible to make that travel out, you can certainly join us virtually. And if for some reason money is a issue and you cannot participate with that, again, because of the fact that it's an invited speaker talk, this will be available in the free track.
I mean, this is an amazing thing. Right? Like most conferences, there's like one way to experience them.
Exactly.
Right? And here you have like 3 different ways of experience, which is, that's incredible.
So we look forward to seeing you at PNSQC in one way or another. And for those of you who are listening to us today, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of PNSQ Chronicles. And we will be back with you shortly with more speakers, more workshops, more fun. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.